Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen with more of a Squadron 42 update. As part of Star Citizen's 8th birthday celebrations, they unveiled the briefing room, a new show for Squadron 42 that they're going to do every quarter. And in fact, this time there was actually 2 videos with over an hour and a half of stuff to trawl through. So the Squadron 42 update and briefing room introduction video that they had was more just of a primer, a mixture of clips of missions, distress signals, spooky intense bits, deserted or damaged ships started it out, and Chris basically then talked about the reason that we've been waiting for the Squadron 42 video for so long is because they wanted originally for it to be something pretty casual, then it evolved into something much more bigger and in-depth. They want to show off specific characters, scenes, scenarios, locations, or a feature in quite a lot of detail, because one of the things with Squadron 42 is that they can't really show too much of it off without giving huge spoilers to the game. So what they do show off, they'll go into a lot more in-depth analysis of how it was developed and why it's developed like that and what it allows them to do in terms of whatever specifically they're talking about. They currently have around 58 sprint teams which work on tasks in 2-week sprints. Each team can be from 3 to 20 people, and there's around 500 devs working on Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Some more major things we found out here. Squadron 42 Episode 1 will not be in its internal beta for Cloud Imperium by the end of this year. Squadron 42 does not have a release date yet, but they will share more as soon as they have some more firm timelines. They are very much working to its done when it's done and not compromising quality for anything. So could it be released in 2021? Maybe. We literally don't know, but Cloud Imperium will give us a bit more information in the near future. With the new roadmaps. The new roadmaps aren't done yet. They are actively working on them, and they should be in our hands by the end of the year. It actually sounds like it's going to be pretty real-time updates, so we should literally be able to look at the roadmap and see progress potentially every day, almost. Like if a artist or designer or whatever ticks off a task, we'll sort of see that represented in the roadmap for that given feature, and see much more of what is being worked on, not just in proximate patches. You'll see teams that are working on given features and a deeper breakdown of any given task. The Squadron 42, the briefing room, episode 1 proper, looked at 2 major things: the Asidio Comore and the NPC Interrupts scenes. Now, I have no idea how to pronounce Asidio. Everyone says it differently, it seems, and I will say it repeatedly in different fashions whenever I read it. Brian Chambers, VP of Development, Nick Elms, Creative Director, and Ross Wilding, Lead Level Designer, all talked about progress on the Asidio Comore and how they built FPS levels and how players could approach them and how NPCs and AI would react to that. The Squadron 42 design teams are broke down into 3 groups. There's an FPS team which looks at first-person, ground, gravity sort of areas. The flight team which looks at space exploration and combat and AI features associated with that. And the social team which is more of glue for the narrative and interactive AI experience, interrupts and all that sort of stuff where players will be breaking away from scenes and you'll be able to see scenes play out. The Asidio station is a decommissioned comm array in the Odin system, and 90% of the game is going to take place in the Odin system. The Asidio station is an early location you'll visit in Squadron 42, so it's not really much of a spoiler. Now, it's relatively small compared to some of the huge scenes and areas and ships and stations that you'll be able to interact with later, but it's still relatively large. I mean, it's a big old station and level. It's basically a big satellite dish which can unfurl with an interior. Functionality and believability is important when they build these structures. So how would it be used if it was a real functioning sort of comm array in space? The central mission control was given a major focus, but the station has habs, or at least small pods for living, and these living areas, social areas, all the sort of like systems are planned and mapped out and how the NPCs would move around. That's all there and built. They also want these areas to be as interactive as possible, being able to turn lights on and off, pick up objects, logs, computers, journal entries, complete puzzles and missions in different ways, stealth will be an option in a lot of scenarios. You'll be able to crawl through vents, and there might be many routes through an area, and they want lots of these routes to not necessarily be that clear. There's going to be a lot of replayability here, and you're going to see things that you didn't notice the time before, or maybe a way of getting through another area will occur to you if you can distract a guard. You can download map schematic data from various sources, or go without. It depends on how much level of sort of like exploration and digging you want to do. They want the player to be invested in moving around and exploring rather than rushing to complete objectives as quickly as possible, unless that's what you want to do. But you could find a console that gives you access to locked doors, or turn off gravity, or power in an area, or something like that. They showed the array folded up, contrasted against the coil in the background, which is in the Odin system. You'll be able to do some recon externally of the station if you want to, so you can get out of your ship and look to see where the enemies are patrolling through the windows. I mean, they're going to be moving around and doing their daily patrols and living their lives. There is a main hangar as an entrance on that comm array, but it might not be best to go in that way if you want to be stealthy. There's lots of other little entry points that you could go in. The station is being used by the enemy actively, and they may have ships flying in and out of it. There was a server room that you could or an AI could interact with, like the consoles there, and that would literally have these big servers that are like lining the room, like big shelves in a library, that could have them go up and down, so you could have all of these retracting to the floor, literally leaving the room void of cover, or just like a specific bank of those sort of servers going in, so giving you less cover, and you could use that to your advantage, or the AI might be using it to their advantage, or it might just be like, oh god, I've got no cover. They want the AI to be living and working in some of these areas, maintaining equipment, etc., and react appropriately to odd and unexpected sounds or operations, but players could approach all of this guns blazing if they want to. If you do that, they're not going to have all the AI just grouping up all of them and just charging at you like footballers. They're going to be sort of like, I'm using cover, they're going to be trying to ambush you, that sort of stuff, getting down into defensive positions. They showed some of the like internal gubbins of the station with the gravity room and the sort of like the engineering area. Some of the station is very much unused and dirty. Other parts are very sort of like lived in and vibrant and active. It was a decommissioned station before the enemy took it over. They are looking at having enemies be able to call for backup and support. Sometimes this could be dropships coming in. Sometimes this could be enemies waking up in their beds and coming along and joining the fray. They then talked a bit about friendly NPCs, interrupt tech, the military interests you're going to be on, and scenes that will play out there. Phil Meller, lead designer on Squadron 42, talked about the Idris you're going to be on is the Stanton, not to be confused with the star system that it's named after. Players are going to be stationed on that for a good chunk of the game. So not all of the game, but a good chunk of it. Including the player, there are 80 crew aboard that ship, each with their own personality. So that's actually quite a lot of crew for an Idris. The ship has a complement of 2 Gladius fighters, so not a huge amount of fighter cover, so you an old man, for the most part it probably will be. Players will be able to interrupt, break away from, or otherwise disturb NPCs. If you move away from a conversation you are having before it's naturally concluded, the NPC will react with a wild line, get between 2 NPCs that are working or talking in a corridor. They're going to stop, and they might pick up that conversation later, but they will acknowledge you, and you can be an ass, or lurk, or be rude, or run away from them as they start to talk to you. You're going to feel like part of the crew, but it's going to be interesting to see how players interact with the other crew members. There's a lot of hours of mocap for lots of different variants and ways that a player might approach a different scene. You'll be able to approach scenes from most angles. Even major scenes don't lock you in either, so you can like run away from them and do weird stuff. There is some form of reputation system, and characters will remember how you've acted and behaved, so bear that in mind. They showed a scene with Morrow, who is the ship's gossip and an engineer there, and there are 5 breakpoints, pause, resume, and abandon points and proximity triggers here. The idea is that this should be a seamless experience as possible with the way that a player interrupts, breaks away from a conversation, and does weird stuff. So they want it to be believable. Even if you're acting oddly, the NPC's like, what are you doing?
Apparently the lieutenant looked completely different before Vega. Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. Not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Lieutenant, you alright? Right. Where was I? Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe Nick's. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. Real dump. Never mind, I guess. Poor Vega. Ah, Lieutenant! Congrats on the big first mission. Exciting stuff. It must be great to finally feel like a real pilot. And not that you weren't a real pilot before, but now you've actually done something without, well, blowing up. Speaking of pilots, did you hear what happened to Ishitaka last year? So, we were posted out in some backwater system. Oh, I forget which one. Maybe Nick's. Anyway, we decided to go out drinking at this dumper of a trade station. Real dump. Ishitaka is completely ripped. I mean, she's totaled. Decides her face could do with a bit of an upgrade. Wakes up the next morning with a nose like the front of Freelancer. Dog said she couldn't fix it. Said she wouldn't fix something that isn't broken. Lieutenant, you alright? Right. Where was I? Ishitaka had to walk around with that disaster for a month before she got some more shore leave. Lesson to be learned, Anyway, catch you later.
And that's it, really, for the briefing room this time. They are planning to have one of these each quarter to give us a bit more information on certain parts of Squadron. I think, along with the new roadmaps when they come online, the briefing room will be a welcome addition to our Star Citizen sort of development journey. I want to see what is going on with that to as much as possible without spoilers. I mean, I don't really mind for spoilers. I'm fine for them spoiling, but I know a lot of people wouldn't be, so that's sort of fine. It does look like we're going to get a solid amount of information on various features and progress of the game now, though, so that is a great thing. But what do you think? Do you think it was justified, them taking quite a long time to get this video out? And obviously it was over an hour and a half of content with those two videos. Do you like what they talked about with players being able to approach missions from a lot of different angles, sort of guns blazing, stealth, locking down a station or exploring, finding Easter eggs and all the little secrets? Or are you just wanting a game to be released ASAP? What do you want to be shown off in the next Squadron 42 update? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway. For October 2020, it is for a Mercury Star Runner. This highly anticipated multi-role ship is going to be great for small to medium-sized crews that want to do a bit of everything, whether that be cargo running, data running, missions, combat, smuggling, all that sort of jazz. And it's going to be in-game and flyable very soon. All you've got to do to be in for a chance of winning one is comment on any of my videos made during October, including this one. More details down below. What am I shilling for today, I hear you ask? Do you hate it when people steal all of your money and your house over the internet? I know I do. NordVPN may have been invented by wizards to help protect your personal data from the prying eyes of the dark web, a sinister cabal of technomancers that grow in power the more they know about your browsing habits. The true story of NordVPN's origins are unknown and lost to the ages, and without using facts, no one really knows how it provides more accessibility to otherwise censored websites or a safer security experience for all that use it. All I know is that it does, and that when you sign up to it, the power level of my bank account grows, and I use it, and maybe you should too.